Hola amigos. Today I'm going to share with you the value of hiring an HVAC consultant for your next build. So behind me on my computer screen, I've got all three screens working hard. And what we're looking at is our truss design in relationship to our HVAC. So before I get into any of the truss components, truss design, any of that jazz, I'm just going to kind of let you know for a moment what some of the benefits are of getting an HVAC consultant involved early in your project. So number one, it puts you in control. You're not having to lean on a trusted trade partner to guide you and then ultimately kind of like owe the favor in return of reciprocation of hiring that trade partner. You're able to actually get all this information and create your own prescription and then kind of decide whatever you want to do with it. That could be that you work with your trusted HVAC partner that you work with all the time, or it could be that you shop that quote and that bid with multiple people and let them look at it. But bottom line is it helps you create your own prescription. And so I'm a huge fan of maintaining control on a construction site, not because I'm like this alpha male that just has to dominate everything, but it's just my job to be in charge, and to do that I gotta have some good vital points of control. So what we've done here is we've worked with a company called Austin Star Services. It's actually headed by a buddy of mine who I grew up with here in Austin named John Esquivel. Follow him on Instagram at Austin Star Services if you want to check him out. But what we created was a really cool Excel document that goes over a bunch of different options with HVAC. Some of them are higher price, some of them are lower price, and some of them are kind of in between. And we started out with doing a manual J, and then you kind of get some more information so that we can make some good educated decisions. And at the end of the day, we opted for what is going to be our final decision, our final approach. And I'm able to take this information right here and I'm able to share this essentially with any HVAC contractor I want, and then they can apply a number to all this stuff. And by number, I mean a dollar amount, right? And so then I can kind of take into mind, okay, what is their schedule looking like? When can they tend to me? What is their price? And are they going to treat me VIP? Those are all the things I'm kind of looking for when I'm working with my HVAC company. And there's a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of good ones in Austin. And so this kind of helps me make that decision. So now to the trusses. When you're trying to prepare for building a house, you need to understand some things. And in this case, I've got my design of my ductwork run through my trusses, and it's all situated and it's all figured out, right? It's super cool. So let's look at some of this stuff. So that's an overlay from plan view. And you can see all my air distribution. You can see my plenums. These are plenums. And you can kind of just really get an understanding of what is going on with that. Here's 3D. This is killer. So this is over at Chalet Chloe. And that's the first floor ceiling, where I got a bunch of trusses, and you can see how they're going to be run through these webbed floor joists, aka trusses. And then this is the second story over here. Some more shots of it, right? And I think when I mentioned to y'all at Chalet Chloe, I had an HVAC closet for the first floor that was going to handle everything, and then I lost that. So I had to put everything up top in the second floor, and it kind of made my job a little bit harder, but she gets the coat closet, and that was good news for her. Here we go, more info. All right, so how does this ultimately help you in real life ordering the trusses? Well, let's go over here to the trusses. So these guys are my opened web floor joists, aka trusses. And I'll show you what that looks like in real life with some good B-roll. But you can see this is going to be my path where stuff can pass through. And I actually had a bunch of issues that I was able to work out utilizing this design. Number one, I had a shower drop right here. That's what that little X is delineating. And I realized that I wasn't doing a curbless shower on the second floor, and I didn't have to drop that, right? And that was something the architect and the structural engineer had provided me before I came into the picture. And I was actually able to remove that shower drop entirely, and I was able to get 18 inches of space between those webbed floor joists, aka trusses, that I really needed to get my ducts to run through there. And it was gonna be squished down previously for something that I didn't even really need. So I really had no idea of that. Prior to getting into this whole level of design and thought process. So that really helped my situation, and it helped our airflow, the whole nine. I also was running into a really challenging issue over here where I couldn't get the main air distribution from this point over to this point, and I had to kind of tweak some stuff. And for whatever reason, the initial truss design had me kind of blocked off over here, and I was able to communicate to my truss designer what the issue was based off all of the drawings I just showed you, and he was actually able to free me up a nice open spot, and we just kind of resituated something that was a block or an LVL that was perpendicular and just moved it over, and he didn't have any issue doing that. And all that took was some good communication. But because he's working in his office over there, I'm working in my zone, and then John, our HVAC consultant, is working in his world, I needed some sort of documentation that was visual so I could kind of get everybody on the same page here and align us and align our goals. And then, we were able to do that and accomplish that. And at the end of the day, what that's going to do for me is make my framer's job way easier. And when I actually get to running this ductwork, it's like a very simplified process. I've had some projects get stalled, from way back when, like before I started doing all this stuff, get stalled for actually like a couple of months because we couldn't really figure out how to run all the ductwork, and that was not a good situation to be in. So I want to remain in control, I want to remain ahead of the game, and I want my team to have as few problems during the build as possible. So it's my job to get out ahead of all this stuff, situate it, and make sure that everybody's life is going to be easy. So that's what we did here. I'm going to send this stuff out actually for a bunch of quotes just because, I kind of want to keep everybody honest, and I want to collect some good data and input that into all my construction software so that I got like the best reference possible on how much stuff costs in real life. And then, relationships are still super important when making that decision on who you're going with. So I thought this would be super helpful for y'all. I highly recommend that you spend the money on the front end to do the additional HVAC design. We're actually going to the lengths of getting 3D for your ductwork, and you're going to make sure that this can fit into this, and then you're going to understand exactly what you want, you're going to gain your prescription, and ultimately at the end of the day, how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take to do it. So that's why I use an HVAC consultant in conjunction with all my builds, and that's how it helps me to design and order my trusses for my project as well. So I hope that brought a lot of value to your lives. Share in the comments section what you think about that. Likes, pros, cons, negatives, whatever, and hit subscribe, guys. I appreciate it. Adios, amigos.